welcome back, everybody, to another episode of It's Related.
I
promise.
Who was that soprano?
I think it was I.
Wow.
It was you.
The terrible woman.
Babe, I was like, yeah. I was like, I was laughing at the same time.
Guys, welcome back to another episode of IRIP. I have a feeling this is going to be a very chaotic episode. We are a full house.
Mm-hmm.
We have two amazing, beautiful guests who are, by this point, probably been here before. I will start with huyu mwenye hapa katikati.
Me.
Please introduce.
What is happening?
Please introduce yourself. Introduce
my
yourself
slave-
to our amazing audience.
My slave name is Edith.
Your what?
Slave name.
Your slave name. Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Kendrick says it once, suddenly.
Actually, it was a Nigerian who told me, this is your slave name. What is your African name? So my African name is Wanjiko Kimani.
Wow.
Yes.
There we go.
And I am here because I have friends who have a podcast.
Mhm.
Yes. Karibu. Welcome, Edith.
Asante.
And to the farthest end over there, we have the beautiful, bubbly, completely infectious personality.
Come on, give it to me.
What else can we say?
Yes. Come on, yes.
Yes.
Oh my God, yes.
Dushy, please introduce yourself to our audience. And please tell people where.
Sorry, I'm wearing a ladylike dress today. Let me have a lady.
I'm gonna struggle. I'll struggle leading this episode. My job is hard. Today is when I'll be tested if I'm a good moderator.
Yeah.
Okay, let me channel this with Kimani. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4.
She said one.
Silence
buckle my
on
shoes,
set.
cross her legs.
3, 4.
Yeah.
What do I do, Edith? How do I manage?
Control your game. Control the room.
And please introduce yourself.
When it's a bit serious, gosh.
We've not even done the intro.
My goodness. I thought we sang.
No, introduce
Introduce
Hi, yeah,
yourself.
sorry. Hi, yes. My name is Dushy. So it's not my slave. My name is Dushy Kuria. My mother calls me one boy when she's angry, so don't call me like that, please. And I'm happy to be here.
Yeah.
So happy to be here again, actually.
Where can people find you? Tell us
Oh,
about
okay.
your podcast.
All right.
We want to plug you as much as possible.
You want me to plug everything myself about
Yes.
myself? So now teleprompter begin.
and
Action. My name is Dushy Kuria. You can find me on all social media platforms under Dushy Kuria. I am also one part of a podcast called On the Scene. Honestly, my brain said it's related, I promise. And I said, that's the wrong one.
Yeah.
I'm one part of the duo that is On the Scene with Dushy and Goose, which is a podcast where we discuss all things movies and film and series, and we get into the nitty-gritties of it. You can find us on social media under that name as well. On the Scene with Dushy and Goose. Yeah.
All right.
Amazing.
Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thank you.
Those are our guests. I am your lead today. My name is Jules. You can find me on my Instagram at Jules_her. That is Jules with an S. A lot of people call me Jules.
Jules.
Jules. Is it Julie's?
Uh-huh.
J-U. Not Jules.
Jules Santana.
JULES_her as in HER. Or you can find me on my other podcast, So This Is Love. All right. And my
last but not
co-host.
least, my name is Sharon, aka Shazo. You can find me on Instagram at official Sharon Mashira, on TikTok and on YouTube. I just recently relaunched my YouTube channel, so please go and subscribe, show some love. It's just me documenting like my life from a sort of like the projects that I'm doing, work and all that stuff. Yeah.
All right. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Today's episode is going to be a fun one. Especially because this is a bench with women full of opinions. So I believe I know this is going to be a very passionate and heated conversation. We did have a conversation previously with Dushy regarding the topic. We're going to be talking about mean girl culture. And then we're going to take it all the way back to high school, and where for a lot of us, we really experienced it in Kenya, which is, bullying in high school. And we're going to just break that down and see how we feel it has affected our lives, how we feel it has evolved into adult life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before that, into IRP fashion, we're going to start with what caught your attention. And I want to start with that person over there who is the most.
I really Sana. Anyway,
Yes.
actually, I have something top of mind.
Okay.
So there's a friend of mine who I follow on social media called Caroline Kibati. Hi, Kibats.
Miss
And
Kibati.
yes, Miss Kibati. And she put up a post that really resonated with me. So I've always struggled with consistency and discipline. And consistency for a lot of my life has felt like boredom. I have a lot of, my bubbly spirit is also, I'm a Leo in nature. I don't like spontaneity. I wouldn't call it that because I like things to be planned, but I like newness. I like the feeling of newness. So the idea of consistency and seeking to like routine has always been something I struggle with. And she put up a post that said recently, give yourself allowance also because you're a human being. However, give yourself a 2-day rule. Never skip anything for 2 days consecutively. So, for example, if you don't go to the gym today and you've just woken up and your body's just not feeling like it, and maybe it's is it called a luteal or it's a follicular phase of the cycle where your body's not feeling like it, or your brain is not in work the way it needs to be, or if you're doing content, you just can't get yourself to think about what you need to schedule for the week. Don't give yourself 2 days consecutively to be off of what you need to be doing. You can take 1 day off, but the next day you've got to get back on that train. And that has really helped me to be able to allow myself, because I remember last week I was really struggling with, it was not that PMS week where you just feel like everything is falling apart. My shoes are on, my socks are off underneath the shoes. I can't do it, okay? And on Thursday, my brain came to the place where it was like, listen, if you don't stop, I'm going to stop for you. And so I told myself, Thursday, I'm just going to give myself downtime. I felt like a flu was coming on. I had a stomach bug. Just everything everywhere all at once was just falling apart. And so I told myself, Thursday, I'm giving you a day to just get yourself together. And on Friday, sweetie, we're getting back on one train, even if it's just one of them. And that has really helped me get back onto a cycle, because I had not worked out for almost a month. And I wasn't feeling like it anymore. I had been doing it for like 2-3 months consecutively. And there was progress, and I could feel it, and I could feel my body getting stronger, which is a big thing for me. I wanted to feel stronger. That was one of the reasons I started working out. And I could feel myself getting stronger. And then I just lost the again tomorrow. The same thing all over. So yeah, I feel like that has really helped me. If you struggle with consistency and discipline like me, maybe that might be something that helps you, because all my life that has been something routine.
That's a good tip.
And I think also it's important to take note that consistency doesn't look like your best day all the time.
I like that.
Yeah, it shouldn't. And that's a pressure that I'm happy. Like, I feel like now I've gotten to that place where I'm like, usually my good week is 4 to 5 times. But there's times like, I haven't slept well, something has popped up. But when I zoom out, I'm like, I have been consistent for 8 months. So
and that's
good enough. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. What about you, Edith? What's caught your attention?
Well, it's actually a recurring conversation that Larry brought up on a national stage. Thank you, husband.
You just need to say one name. Like
Beyonce.
Beyonce.
Like Larry Nani.
Actually, we all know that is actually just with the one.
Sorry, in my introduction, I forgot to say that I also go by Mrs. Mado.
Come on.
According to the internet. So he brought up the question of why Africans are still paying extreme amounts of money to travel to other African countries. And he was speaking at the Africa CEO Forum with Aliko Dangote, who's the richest man in Africa. And he brought up a very important point, which is that if Africa truly wants to develop and grow into this, what we're calling the Africa Free Continental Trade Area, it's just not going to be possible without mobility. So just for your viewers and listeners to think about, what's the way forward? Because we also tend to be very xenophobic and Afrophobic. We have what we say about Somalis in this country. South Africans have their own issue. We have what we say about Nigerians. I think we need to really investigate ourselves.
Agree. Like I celebrate that point, Sana. Actually, because today, sorry. Do I bring you the same thing?
What? Probably because last time we're thinking the same
Sweetie,
thing. Babe, get out of my head.
My brain was thinking today morning. Sweetie, my tender. Today morning, I was seeing someone was talking about traveling the UK, and he put up the cost of a flight from the UK to South Africa, and it's the same cost as Kenya to South Africa.
No way.
And I was like, when I saw the figure, I said, okay, just pause. Is that? And I was checking through just, the way you check flights and accommodation on sites that we usually use, Skyscanner, whatever it is you're using. And I checked, it's pretty much the same cost from the UK to South Africa and from Kenya to South Africa.
What is even more absurd is the flight path you have to take sometimes. And I know this conversation is sounding maybe a little privileged, but the truth of the matter is a lot of people are traveling for various reasons. And for me to go from Kenya to Morocco, for example, it might be easier. Actually, let me give you a perfectly clear example. To the Gambia, door to door, I calculated it takes me about 21 hours of travel. Yeah. In order for me to arrive at that country, there are at least 4 stopovers. An easier route would be to get out of Kenya, go into Europe, and then fly into West Africa.
Wow.
That's how poorly connected we are as a continent. So it doesn't surprise me that the rates are astronomical. Yeah, because the airlines are very few and far between, and we know how they're being run.
Right.
Do you know
the
line to your point on Larry's video? Because I watched a bit of that interview, and Dangote, the richest man in Africa, was like, to you embassies, I don't have time to go drop my passport
and my documents.
my documents at the embassy. I was like, can you imagine if Dangote has to go?
He was saying to
like,
34
that's
countries he
crazy.
still has to apply for a visa. And that's absurd because obviously he's a businessman. You would expect that he has some 34
He has a
countries within
handler.
the continent of Africa.
That's crazy.
And he is African. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then to his point, Larry pointed to the French guy who's the head of Total and said, do you need 34 visas to come to Africa?
Larry, your husband
Your
husband really asked.
Let me, I have good choices.
I love that.
Look at my friends.
I love that, sweetie.
I love that for you.
Actually,
I
that
love
Gambia thing has really shocked me because it would make more sense to just be like Popeye and take the spinach and run. I'd get there first time.
20 hours door to door.
4 stops.
That's crazy.
wild.
Yeah, because it was Nairobi, Addis, Accra, I think somewhere in between, and then now find it.
But maybe
Accra, Dakar, Banjul.
maybe we are poorly connected because the airlines. You see, the airlines are owned by like the host country would be Dubai for Qatar, for South African Airlines would be SA. So I'm like, what happens to the local airlines?
Yeah,
like the Kenya Airways,
Kenya Airways,
Rwanda Air, those kind of things.
It's still used a lot. I mean, including Ethiopian Airlines. There's also Nigerian Airlines. They're just
Nigeria
not
has an airline.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so
they hired a plane from Kenya Airways and they rebranded it.
They put like a sticker.
They just said, remove that sticker and then put
You guys, Nigerians.
I love that.
I love Africa. Let me tell you. Yeah.
Anyway.
But one of the biggest, I think, observations or assumptions was that Africans were not traveling within Africa. So it's like, what's the
Why
point?
develop the infrastructure? We're not even traveling. Okay. Food for thought. We are the future. We're the ones to make those choices.
Yeah.
Let's not adopt or just inherit these things our grandparents adopted from the colonials. I think now we're a bit more educated.
Yeah.
And then it's also lovely because now there are people our age who are the ambassadors to these countries. So if you can go to a country and be the ambassador from Kenya, make a change where you are if it's possible. To start that conversation and have the country alleviate us from this process of having to go and take our bank statements for 6 months stamped by the bank to the office and go sit
It's a very
there.
dehumanizing process, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to cut you guys short.
Yeah.
I know. What's caught your attention?
Good moderation.
Nowadays our production team was like, guys, we have to be done in 1 hour.
Yes, please.
I thought you'll just cut. You'll cut. Just edit. Tuliambiwa, my friend. Extra labor, extra cost, extra. Now we are running this like a real business. So please, I must cut you short. Sharon, what's got your attention?
I'll be very quick.
What do you? This is so random. What do you guys use your notes app for? Because like I saw this meme. Someone was talking about how like women's notes app is full of the most random. Oh, I'm ready to go, baby. I wanted to challenge everyone. Can you just read for us? Which one? Notes or Google Key? Notes. Hey, babe.
Sweetie.
Yeah,
So,
if you're brave enough,
I don't think it's healthy for me to.
If you're brave enough, just read what is on your latest notes. Today, IRIP times Edith. Yesterday, things I do repetitively. Do together or repetitively. Gordon's outdoor shoot. 1 rep max. Improvement on squats. Gordon's pillars. 30 days upliftment. Night diary. Do it scared. Oh God. Yeah, it's just work. What's on yours, Edith?
First of all, I wish I had checked my notes before because I had the IRIP notes from that Sunday.
Really? Oh, yeah, because we had a conversation on Sunday about what to talk about. No, how in the future we want Edith to come. Not today. Today was an emergency thing because we had a situation in the morning. Yeah. So we had already planned. Oh yeah, and I told you I hope you're writing this
Yeah.
down.
So
And
you wrote it down.
I did, but then I forgot I wrote it down,
Because what
which
happened
doesn't
is
help.
Jules and Edith were on a call and they were like, babe, we had discussed a topic that we can discuss today, but we both don't remember what it was. So what was it?
So,
Anyway,
here I have today Rasta piece.
Rasta
I'm
piece?
doing a story on locks, catching up to 77%.
Okay, I thought that was a
nice.
conversation.
Yeah,
from-
and then no, the IRIP conversation was, maybe you'll hear it again. Women, power, and money. Financial imbalances leaning towards women. What happens when the woman earns more?
That was it. That was
Yeah.
it. That was it. And we really talked about
We
it.
really did.
Are you guys curious or
Yeah.
excited, or would you be looking forward to a conversation around that kind of imbalance in relationships?
Yeah.
When it comes to women having the upper hand financially
Earning more
in
money.
modern love, modern day. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Your
mine,
notes.
mine is okay. So for me, okay, well, I'm not gonna read my notes, but normally, normally it's where I go to rehearse. Like if I want to send someone like a harsh message,
Same. And then I copy paste it.
I go have practice. I'm like,
to rehearse.
yeah. Then I delete. Then I like sleep on it the next day. Then I'm like, okay, now it's good to go. So like I have a bunch of.
Oh my God, breakup text, makeup text.
Exactly.
Oh God, I have
you
that
know,
there.
you know when you have, because I'm just seeing the names here, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Or you like totally by the person's name. Or you need to-
absolutely,
I
and,
love
and the
that.
issue.
I love
I'm
that.
like, Dushy,
Yes.
So you
you
have
have
like
like
a
a folder of like text messages.
Absolutely.
That's
And, like,
actually
there's
I've got to
something-
see this. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It starts
okay.
with, I'm struggling with this decision.
I'm just going to run away from that.
So that's what I use my notes up for.
Yeah.
Dushy, what
There's
what are
nothing.
the
First of
things?
all, I categorize them. So like there's Posh, which I ran higher, but I ran Posh by J with Jason. So there's Posh, there's On the Scene, there's Letters to Myself that I write there. There's Shikuria, which is not my social media persona. There's Work, which is one way. Then I categorize them. Then now when you open, they are now. So like now the basic notes, I have a password here for CG. I don't know my email. I have restaurants to visit, house shopping, my birthday wish list, perfumes, family business roundtable, which is an event I went for. Places I work that I go and write notes when I'm there. Oxtail recipe.
You see, our notes apps. It's like
So what was the meme?
the meme was just like you get to know a lot about a woman,
from her
from her notes or what she uses it for.
Yeah.
And like for
Okay.
if someone, I would rather you snoop my WhatsApp than you snoop my notes.
Yeah.
You'll really
My
see
notes be personal.
my notes are
So is it password protected?
no,
Meanwhile, but she can't password protect us because she writes her passwords.
oh yeah.
But you know what? You can lock a note in your Apple Notes. You can lock a note that can only open with your passcode.
Oh,
So I have
okay.
particular notes that are locked because
damn.
please
It's like a diary.
kindly let me
Yeah.
just
But
yeah.
those diaries that used to have padlocks.
Yes, and I have one. So
It's
just, I
terrible.
lock everything, guys. Yeah, just
All right,
lock
guys,
it.
let's
yeah,
get to the
let's run like that,
conversation.
yeah.
I was busy looking at my notes as well. I was like, damn.
But you didn't even tell us what's in your notes.
I did. So I have notes. Like, there's notes and then there's Google Keep. So Google Keep is for notes is for my creative stuff and work stuff, and then Google Keep is like for my everyday stuff. So like I have a shopping list, I have my to-do list because it has the check boxes. But I think also notes has that.
You can
Yeah,
put it,
real ideas, who I look up to, things to talk about before you get
I
married.
love that.
Oh,
Hey,
girl.
but do tell us.
Tell us. I saw you in a wedding dress the other day.
Money, dating
She's just
history.
ignored us. She was
I know,
like,
she's
moving
like,
next
I also have a
day.
dating
Future
history one.
plans. No, that's the things to talk about before we get married.
Oh,
Dating history, future plans, partner expectations, communication, conflict resolution, addictions, mental health issues, sexual expectations,
Yeah.
couple projects, rituals. So in the relationship that I may or may not be in, that's
you can neither confirm.
neither confirm nor deny. But
No
yeah,
comments,
it's important to do this do those check-ins every month.
Please send that to me.
I will. So today's conversation.
30 minutes later, where's that?
Yeah, this is still the intro.
This is still the intro. This is still the intro. We want to talk about mean girl culture.
Yes.
Beryl is shaking her head. Look.
Let's get into it.
Listen, we're on the clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our moderators said but
Every
it's serious.
second, here time is money.
Yeah. Come on.
I can't remember actually, I think I do, but I'm not really sure what inspired this topic idea. This is something that was actually in our notes.
Yeah.
Whenever we have inspiration for an idea, there's a place we just do a brain dump with Sharon and Noni.
Yeah.
And we wanted to talk about mean girl culture. But we had we came to the conclusion, actually, this shit probably started way back, because we're talking about mid-girl culture, like in our age right now. But then it was like, wait, what about bullying? So that's where it started. And I wanted us to just start by kind of highlighting or talking about some of the bullying experiences you might have had, where you were at, your age, because mean girl culture is very different in Kenya, for example, than the Americas, where we, the film Mean Girls.
Mean Girls, with banned books, and I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. For us, it's I feel like the clique culture is a bit different. The bullying culture is a bit different. So I think I'm gonna start with Dushy.
Okay.
20 marks. Bullying. Discuss. Explain. Actually discuss.
Yeah. Full stop. You know what? My first ever bullying experience was when I was in primary school. Like when you actually asked me about it, that's the first thing that clicked in my mind. I've always been a plus size girly, and you see, the thing is, the smaller you are, the rounder you become.
The
smaller you are, the rounder you become. So, like, for example, when I was smaller and I was still plus size, I was rounder. Now, maybe there's maybe my hips are like, hey, what's up?
Yes.
Right? But like then, there are no hips. It was just a Michelin tire, a cute little Michelin tire. I love. Sometimes I look at pictures of myself and I'm just like, this cute little sweet girl. And when I was so the first primary school I was in before I moved to where I ended up to do my KCPE, there was this crew of girls, and I remember a particular situation that happened where there was so many that I started crying, and then one of them came and I was trying to placate me. Like, well, don't cry. We weren't even really being that bad. And I remember feeling so uncomfortable around that experience of her even like rubbing my back and trying to, we're not even being that mean. You're just being too sensitive. And that's
gaslighting 101.
I can't believe she knew how to do it at 14, And then later on in high school, I almost created like an entire school rift because I really wanted to become a prefect, and I think I would have made a great one, by the way, guys, even if you deny me the opportunity.
She said, where's my camera?
I need to talk to my
Where is my
therapist.
camera?
I think I have
Write it in your notes.
You wanted to be a cop.
I wanted to be a cop so badly. I wanted to wield some power.
Yes, but also in public. Were you in public high school?
Yes, I was in a public high
school. There was a lot of power. There was power and privilege, extra bread.
Exactly. And not even that much for us, because there was a lot of equality in my high school, but there was a power to it. There was a power to it that I really wanted to wield. That this Leo energy in me is very strong.
What high school did you go to?
I was in the precious blood Ruta.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were chop.
Hey, yeah. Hey, smart girls, we also had a hard time. Yeah, so I really wanted to be a cop. And I remember when I wasn't chosen, because I think everyone knew that I wanted to be a cop, the entire school, there was an entire squadron that bullied me about it. It was a tough time.
And you had to be elected. People had to vote.
So the people
you.
didn't necessarily vote you, but they gave their opinion. The prefects from the former class exactly. They would be the ones they would vote for, and the teachers would make the final decision.
I see.
And I thought that the teachers liked me, and then I realized, guys, you don't give a crap about me, and I'm a great girl, And I was just here licking your boots. What's up?
Yeah.
I can't even have a foot fetish now. I'm angry. It's
You're out of order. I swear to God, you entertain me so much.
So here we are now. So it's really it fucked with me for a while. Actually, I remember when I even came back, I couldn't focus on school as much as I would have wanted to. It changed my brain chemistry for a bit.
How are you being bullied about not being a cop?
You see, the thing is, they didn't even make it. There was no physical bullying or anything like that. But there's taunting.
Of course,
I remember
you wanted this so badly. Yeah?
The bullying sound at some point. People walked around following me, telling me, "Oh, you thought you would become one. You didn't even become one." It was traumatic.
That's horrible.
It was really traumatic. And I remember there was this particular girl, and she used to wear glasses, and I can never remember her name. But if I saw her face today, I'd be able to pinpoint her. And I remember, I think I wanted to use the computer lab to hide out. And I remember, I don't know what she said to me, but I remember looking at her and thinking, there's no way a human being can be this mean. So I went to the computer lab because I wanted a place where there would be no one. And she said, and I can't even remember exactly what she said, but I remember feeling like there's no possible way a human being can be. For no reason. We're in different classes, not even in different classes, we're in different streams. We had no interaction. So other than what you've heard about me and maybe your perception of who you think I am, it was a tough time. Woo. I remember when my mom picked me up from school, that because luckily our elections used to happen right before we closed. So I think the next days when we were going home, my mom picked me up and I cried the entire day. Like there's nothing else I did. We went to eat. I was crying the entire time. It was it fucked my brain chemistry a bit. Yeah.
I get that.
And Shazo, you were telling me when we were talking about this conversation of mean girl culture and bullying, you said you had a specific experience around, I don't know if we can name the school.
We can name the school.
Brook House.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you see, the reason I was asking about where she was in school, actually, I didn't know PB has that kind of equality. For me, it was a different experience. There was seniority, the bullying was there, like actual bullying. I'll talk about it. But I want to see how it contrasts a little bit with, for you.
So, for me, why I'm happy to name the school, because I don't think it's the school's fault per se. I just think kids at a certain age are just assholes. So what happened is I wanted to go study in the UK, but I had done the Kenyan system. So this school called Brookhouse, and for international listeners, Brookhouse is like a very fancy private school. And so they had this course that you can, if you study that course, you can convert your Kenyan degree, your Kenyan, whatever, grades into a grading system that is accepted by the UK. So typically the people that would be on this course, and it was called International Foundation Year, were guys who had studied 844.
Yeah.
And I feel like in Kenya, or at least me at that age, I was getting this realization. I was maybe 16, 17, that that's when I was coming to that awareness of that, like, rich kids, poor kids divide. And I remember being in that school, and like I had never had this awareness of like whatever status I have, like in terms of social class. So when I got to Brookhouse, and obviously I was part of International Foundation Year, the girls that were in the British system, in IGCSE, they were so horrible to us.
Because you're 844.
Because we're 844.
You're from the Kenyan system.
Yeah, we don't have an accent.
Yeah.
We don't know how to eat fork and knife. Just stupid shit. And I don't know, like I had never been bullied in my life at that point, because I had gone to very small schools. Like my parents were very intentional to take me to like smaller schools, but Brookhouse was like a big school with lots of people and very, kids from very rich families. We were not doing badly of ourselves, because obviously if you can afford Brookhouse, you're okay, but not to the level that other people could. And also we didn't study the IGCSE system. So I felt like we were being berated for our social etiquette more than anything else. Like we were looked at as the very smart kids, because obviously 844 is hard. But socially, like I felt like we weren't really being invited to stuff, to like hang out outside of school. There were always like whispers. Nobody would want to sit with us. Like we'd always just have our own little corner somewhere. And there was this girl, I'll never forget her. And it's funny, like I saw her on Instagram the other day and I was like, of course this is where you are. Like she was so like she was so mean and very abrasive about the fact that we were the poor kids in school. And it was never something she said. Like she never said anything. It was just so implied in the way she was acting towards us. I'm trying to think of an example, but I think even in my mind I kind of just blocked it, because I was like, who hurt this babe?
Yeah.
Like, she came across very troubled, but she was the most popular. I don't want people to be able to identify her, but she was well liked. And
the mean girls are usually like the popular ones anyway, because that's how they position themselves.
This babe, like, it was not even popularity. It like people were idolizing her.
Oh wow!
Like it was a bit like weird.
Do you reckon maybe it was out of fear?
I think
they wanted to be in her good graces?
Because she was, I was definitely scared of her.
Yeah.
Like I would never, like I'd see her coming down the corridor and literally I would just prefer to go the other way. And that's why I feel like someone popular is someone liked. But I don't know, I think it was fear. People are definitely afraid of her. And so for me, that's when I got that consciousness of, oh my God, like, the class divide is real.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the bullying, that's how it looked like for me.
Okay, so I feel like, so bullying for me, I was actually looking for stories where you're individually bullied rather than
groups.
Collectively.
not collectively. What I mean is
Dushy.
you see, Dushy, let's say
It came out so innocently.
It
that I
came-
made
yeah,
sure-
it's not sarcastic. Like, yeah. No,
It was so innocent. I was like, hi,
No,
everyone.
what I mean is, when you're actually singled out by a girl or a group of girls, not because, for example, you didn't make it to be a cop. Maybe those are that's just kids being assholes.
which they
But
are.
I mean, like bullying. And I feel like in the Kenyan context, in the 844 contest, I don't know about IGCSE or British system because I was in 844. There was such an extreme normalization of this idea. It was seen to the point that it was seen as almost like a rite of passage. So, for example, 844, you're 8 years in primary school, 4 years in high school, and possibly 4 years post high school. And your entire class 8 before you go to, or let's say class 7, 8, you have such a hyper awareness about this concept of monolization. And that when you enter Form 1, you're a mono, and monos are monolized.
Yeah.
To the point where, do you remember the magazine Insider? I remember we used to, my favorite thing about Insider was going to read, there was even a whole section for monolization stories. And everyone would say, hey, this is how I was monolized. This is how I was monolized. And it was very prevalent in the public schools. And even parents knew, okay, so let me explain. I was in Moi Girls before I transferred to Riara Springs Academy. Riara Springs is a private school. It's still 844. I had such a huge culture shock between the two schools. When I went to Form 1 in Moi Girls, I knew very well that there's going to be monolization. There was all these analogies of the fresh meat has arrived. Everyone picks, and then actually
favorites.
Yeah, I remember during the first week of, it's called what? That week. Induction. So every evening we go to the dining hall and we are kind of being told this is how things run in this school by the cops. And the cops it almost felt more powerful than the teachers. And I remember they told everybody to stand up. And then they said, if you are in a public primary school, sit down. So majority of people sat down. I was in private. And then they say, if you are in this school, sit down. If you're in this school, sit down. So the kids that were left standing were people from Makini Primary. And it was the knowledge that those Makini Form 1s are going to get the worst of it. So they had to be identified. And by worst of it, they're going to get the heavier duties because the schools are cleaned by the students. Everything is run in the school by students other than the kitchen. So the dormitories are cleaned by the students. The toilets are cleaned by the students. The classes are cleaned by the students. Everything is cleaned by the students. So everybody except Form 4s has a duty. And the worst duties are given to Form 1s. Which are the worst duties? Washing bathrooms, washing toilets. But the toilets for us, the toilets were, there's one dormitory that was called Biggie. It was for red houses, and red houses were already known as like the vigilantes of the school. So the Form 1s what is a vigilante, by the way? Is it a rebel?
Yeah, but then it's like, if
I feel like I've used this word in the wrong way.
it's
just such a big
word. The context is just perhaps not
Wrong.
there.
Yeah. Okay, what's the
I was
vigilante?
gonna say vagabond.
What are they going up against?
Okay, not the vigilante.
Everybody.
They were the rebels. What do you call? Give me a word.
Rebels. Rebels.
But
is
I
big.
want another word for, like, they were the notorious.
What's a vagabond?
The
Vagabond.
They were the vagabonds.
The anarchists, maybe.
They were the anarchists.
Another
They were the
extreme one.
anarchists and protagonists. So we were the protagonists. They were the anarchists. Anyways, so yes, so now those Makini girls were given those duties for Biggie, the Biggie bathrooms, because now those Form 4s in Biggie were very bully and bullying was normalized. So if you're a Form 1, I remember even when we expressed this to our class teacher, like, our clothes are being stolen from the lines, because Form 1s have labeled all their clothes. And now what we hear is, Form 1s wameingia sasa, now it's shopping time. So the Form 3s, Form 4s, they wait for the Form 1s to go wash their clothes, and they just come and pick your clothes. And
Just like that.
And you'll see somebody walking with your shirt. Sharon Bashira. And what can you do? Excuse me, you have my shirt, so. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember this teacher telling us, you know what you can do? The day you're washing your clothes, you can take a book, and then you go and sit
And
at
wait
the
for it to
washing
dry.
line. Babe, we were supposed to go watch our clothes dry. That's the solution the teacher gave us. I remember being in so much shock. I'm like, this is how powerful the bully
system is.
the system is.
Mm.
And yeah, so I had friends from Kilimani and Makini. Kilimani Junior and Makini were the worst. Experienced the worst of it. And my friend, my I can't even name her because I don't know if I have approval. But she was really bullied. So like they'd call her to they call you to their cubicle and they're like, what's your name? I would just let's say I'm a form 4, we can reenact. What's your name?
Sharon.
When you have one name like a dog.
Bosco.
I am telling you, this is what happened.
Man of Bosco.
You have one name like a dog.
Sharon more than Mashira. I'm really scared.
What's my name actually?
I'm even intimidated. Sharon Mashira.
You have 2 names like a hockey stick.
What?
Sharon Modoni Mashira.
So you're told to go and bring all your grab. You know that you've carried your grab for the term.
Yeah.
So she went through all this shit. And it was normal.
Yeah.
So that was the culture. And I'm telling you, it was normal. Like, it was almost like a rite of passage. Like, you're like, oh, I can't wait to be in second form so I can bully those form ones. Like now I was busy picking up my debts. Like, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. And then I was transferred before I got to form 2. And I go to this school where form 1s are overtaking form 4s on the lunch line. I was like, I was so shocked. Because I was seeing a form 4, I'm looking down.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, it was so normal.
Respect.
And everyone when you come home for holidays, everyone is sharing how they were monolized. Do you understand? We're all talking shit about your school, but it was so normal. But I wonder if this culture, because there were those mean girls. There was the cops who were the means. There was the bitches, like how it's translated
in life. Yeah.
Later on in life. Where did this monolization come from? Like, is it something that we adopted from colonization?
Probably.
Is it just a normal thing that kids go through? Because in every country there's
a version of
bullies.
Yeah, but that one you're talking about is institutionalized. You know what you're saying? It's part of the system. It's expected, and to this day, I'm pretty sure it's still going on. So in State House, because I was in State O before I moved to Hillcrest, I was so lucky. I was telling you, I don't actually remember ever being bullied, but I saw it happen, and weirdly, maybe it's because of my small stature. I was now doing things with the Form 4s, which made me very uncomfortable. So I was now being isolated by the 2 Form 1s because it's like, why are you being favored?
How did you make friends with those Form 4s? Is it?
No, because we had to share rooms with them, right? I think in every room, we were the only Form 1s in our room, but then the rest were Form 4s and Form 3s. I don't know how that happened. And we were slept next to the prefect's room. So I don't know, when they had extra biscuits, we would always get the extra biscuits. We still had to do the chores, but I didn't have to clean the bathrooms. I was cleaning the rooms, but it's because they're the ones who were assigning the chores. When it came to dormitory, picking lunch, as you're saying, the Form 4s would be the first ones to pick the chapatis.
Yes.
And then the Form 1s would be the ones to pick last, because now you take what everybody else doesn't want.
Yeah.
So this girl who really took a liking to me, she used to pick her chapati and then be like, okay, even before the Form 3s, chagua. So now I'm afraid because when I leave this place with a chapari and the Form 1s are still lining up, how is this possible? So it's a good question. I don't know where they are now, but I do believe that it's rooted in a very unhealthy, it's not even respect, reverence to authority in this country.
Yes.
And it's authority, it's like from your home. You know, your father is the first headmaster, you have to always salute.
Yeah.
Then you go to school, your teachers, you have to respect them in a specific way. In church or places of worship, there's also that. Even now in a supermarket, like,
Even
at
how
our
we-
big
we-
age,
even
yeah.
with police officers, like the
Yeah.
culture we have with police officers here. Like me, I see and you said it, they're called cops.
Well,
Like
prefects.
prefects.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
they actually call cops.
Oh, I didn't even realize I was saying cop, but yes,
Yeah.
cop is prefect.
Yes, it's prefects, and like for sure, that's the culture we have with cops. Like you see a cop, you're actually paranoid, even if you've done
Yeah, and
nothing
you know,
wrong.
cops in high school had a different uniform.
Yes,
Yeah.
they
So you could
did.
see, yes, the cop, I
Yes.
think, had for us, it was a different tie.
A whole uniform or
Ours
just
was
a
red
badge?
A different
sweaters.
tie, and I think sweater.
Also, the sweaters were even different.
The sweaters
Actually,
are different.
The entire uniform became different the minute they became.
Yes,
they became.
it was,
pointed.
it was cops and first aiders that had
Yeah.
different. First aiders had
And
all
rangers.
black and rangers.
But only for Fridays when you you're hoisting the
Be
flag.
the
rest of the
flag.
time you're
Yeah,
individual.
yeah.
You know,
So there was almost like, oh, you want to be part of this
the guys in
thing.
power.
Yes, yes.
What I found interesting was you asking like, where are these? Are they the mean girls for today? Because like, for me in the spaces that I've worked in, I've interacted with a lot
Of mean girls.
mean
In fact, I
girls.
want to like we don't even have to. Let's not dwell on high school. Let's even now jump to what is mean girl culture like
Yeah.
in our lives.
So me,
What does it look like?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you what it has looked like for me.
I can definitely speak to, and maybe Ido can as well, mean girl culture in media, in the Kenyan media, whatever, Kenyan media space. And I know they'll all come from me.
We've had this story.
Hapana, tuseme tu ukweli kinagobaga. TV girls can be bitches.
Yes,
Ukweli na mnajijua.
Period.
Nonsense.
It's so, and you know, because
Yeah.
you know, similarly to Ido, like we got into media a bit younger, and there's always that culture of like, if someone is young, now the sort of older ones feel threatened, and it's because the media culture culturally here is not merit based, and you know, I don't know how you feel about that, but
What is
like
it based on? Oh,
on looks, it's based on looks.
Yep.
So like
and pussy power.
exactly,
Like
and
who you're
SMS,
sleeping with,
sexually
right?
transmitted success, STS.
Holy shit! Sexually transmitted.
Put that on a t-shirt and send it to
Somebody
me.
give me some water.
Yeah, that's
Put
what
it on
it's about.
t-shirts.
So you see, if you're
Have you ever heard of that?
I have. It sounds fantastic when you said it though.
you can, like, you're not secure in your job. So I can understand where that insecurity stems from, because it has nothing to do with how good you are.
Yeah,
I mean, how good you are at other things, but not the thing that you've been hired for.
that's why I love Yvonne Okwara so much, because she's not the typical
no Yvonne Okwara
beautiful.
I think she's beautiful. Though.
I think
I'm
so
gonna just-
too.
No, okay,
Please.
Julia. Okay, Julia.
I did not say she's not beautiful.
Yeah.
But in conventional,
What I mean is she's not the typical. I was trying not to say light skin because my bestie is sitting right here.
Also, we've had a whole
Whole
conversation
conversation
about
So excuse me,
Yeah.
because I it is my weakness where I synonymize light skin with beautiful.
Beauty.
Okay, I am part of the society that has been
It's internalized
brainwashed.
for you.
Yes. So what I meant was, let me just take that back. You don't need to cut it out. But what I mean is she's not the conventional light skin, pretty,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Kenya TV. Like,
nowadays
yeah,
flat stomach, big ass, you know, presenter.
She was actually the first dark-skinned
Dark-skinned
presenter,
Yeah.
and then she's so
For me,
eloquent and she
so
commands.
smart.
So for her, me, I'm like, hell yeah, it's
Yeah.
merit.
I think
Her, it's 100%
I don't.
merit.
I never used to find Beatrice darker
Dark
skin tone.
skin.
I thought she was more my skin tone. I remember when I used to see her on TV.
Yeah.
She
But
wasn't
you
as
are darker
too-
skin tone.
Yeah, like but I don't consider myself like, for example, these are beautiful like I don't know how to explain what color that is. It's like it's I find myself like I'm not light, I'm not the lighter, I'm not
But,
mocha.
yeah.
I'm more like a hot chocolate, but with like a touch more milk.
This is a conversation
We
we
need to
really
have-
these are because I
gradients,
am
right?
so I have such issues with this
She does.
because in my mind, you, me, and Sharon are dark skinned girls.
So I consider myself a dark skin
we
girl. Yeah.
we are dark skinned girls, but then I feel like with Kenyan, I own that identity. But it's like every time I talk to Kenyan women who in my mind are dark skinned girls, they're like, no, I'm not dark skinned, but I'm not light. So I'm like,
I think it's a
we are all dark skinned people.
view it
I
as a
feel like
spectrum.
Kenyan women, the ones I've talked to, imagine, and it's not only you, Sharon. Even the same conversation we had with Noni. Noni's like, well, I don't really call myself. I'm like, but you
Dark-skinned girl,
are a dark skinned woman because I think we have. This is a whole other conversation.
it's actually the
It's
colour- the
it's
colour
like dark skin
conversation.
is only the Lekweks of the world and the South Sudanese. Like those are the dark skin, or like, you know, those tribes in Kenya that we say those are the dark skin. No, we are. Like
dark skin.
we
for
can
our
ask
society.
the guys, the men, the people who we date.
Yeah.
They're never gonna be like, yeah, Jules the light babe or the hot chocolate.
Hot chocolate.
They're just gonna be like, yeah, she's
Without
dark.
more milk.
Yeah,
You
they'll
asked
be
me to
like,
describe myself. Hot
Edith,
chocolate,
the light babe,
babe.
Jules the dark
So,
babe.
so you know,
that.
light skinned.
Yes, in the Kenyan context,
context.
she's a light babe.
And is Dushy light skinned in a Kenyan guy's context?
In
No, I'm
my, I
dark.
don't know, I'm not a man, but to me, like I said, me, you, and Dushy
Dushy were
are dark.
the same
Are dark.
skin.
I'm not saying we're the same shade. I can see Sharon is a little bit lighter. I can see the areas of your face that are
But we're
lighter.
in this.
But to me, we are
We're
dark-skinned
dark-skinned,
women. If
yeah.
I was to say, let's have a conversation about dark-skinned women, you're the women I'll talk to. And I the reason this came up is because I was telling Sharon, yeah, me, you, and so can talk about it. And Sharon was like, but I'm not dark-skinned. And I was like,
Oh yeah, that's
I wouldn't
very
even consider
different.
her a dark skin person. I think it's also.
what I was and
Yeah.
really
To
need to
mediate.
discuss-
Let me tell you.
Actually,
Let me
we
bring
can
back.
moderate
Mean girl culture. I think this came because we're talking about mean girls in the media
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
And you were talking about how it comes up as a point as a manifestation of insecurity.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's because it's actually related because people respond to what they're seeing, and if what you're constantly seeing on TV, we went from Catherine Kasavuli, who was basically a pretty normal, average-looking woman in Kenyan space, who was, I think, reflective of the people of Kenya, and then it became progressively more and more lighter women.
Yeah, mixed race. There was a
Yeah.
point it was like
Very
predominantly
mixed race,
race.
and the fairer you were, the more likely you were to get a prime time slot,
Exactly.
which was
And not
coveted.
only on TV, also on radio. There are
Also,
some radio
wow.
stations
Really?
that was
Really?
Yeah,
they wanted the pointees
Actually,
with
yes.
the accents.
with the accents.
Yeah.
yeah. So it makes sense that then the older journalists who were there actually because of merit were now feeling some type of way because of these younger girls who've come in. They're being loved up by the men who, by the way, are all like, yeah, we like Team Natural, come see too. But when the rubber really meets the road, they're not really putting their money where their mouth is.
It's so true.
So yes, there was definitely a lot of that, not necessarily within our newsroom, but in the media space.
In the media space, 100%.
Yeah.
What
There-
did mean girl culture look like?
It looked like even your boss daring to call out what you're wearing in front of everybody.
And that you both being a woman.
Yeah, saying that this is not how you're supposed to dress as a news anchor. Basically picking at things like your hair or like your teeth, or it's just
Even a lot
small
of
things.
my experience, like a lot of backbiting, like
Oh.
in your face. Someone is like, "Oh my God, Sharon, you're amazing. You're this, you're that," and then you later hear that this person has gone off and just talked so much shit about you.
Yeah,
And I experienced that very early on in my career. I feel like the older I got, it stopped happening, but there was a lot of that backbiting and sort of.
yeah.
Hey, those are ugly days. I mean, it's taking me back, and I'm like,
And when they didn't have anything to label you, then they would say, oh yeah, they're sleeping with such and such a politician, or they were seen with, so rumor spreading, which is very detrimental to your reputation. And as a journalist, I mean, if people can't trust you, what are you doing? What are you doing in the job?
Yeah.
So that's as far as I experienced it, but I know it can go deeper. It can be worse. I don't know if has anyone ever experienced mean girl to a point of sabotage?
Sabotage
Like somebody deliberately,
messed up an opportunity for you.
yeah, especially in like social media influencing. I imagine there must be
Yeah. Juice. Maybe it happened. You didn't. And
You know, maybe the sabotage ijanifikia.
I also think when it comes to the social media space, I was watching a video and I was telling you about it earlier, where a lady was talking about how she approached a woman who she saw at, I think, a public pool or something. Maybe it was in a public pool. This is in America. So she was swimming, and then she saw a woman who I think had also just come from her swimming class, and she went to approach her just to say, "Hi, I love your content. I follow you, and I make cakes and pastries. If ever I see that you're launching something soon, if you're looking for someone to maybe give you the pastries for your event, I would love to partner with you." And this lady turned and told her, I only collab with people who have more followers than me. And then she turned around.
Wow.
And I remember this lady, first of all, she's a plain looking girl. She's not, it wasn't that she's babavoom. She just come from swimming, so her hair was looking a bit all crazy. She had just worn a sleep dress just to be able to get back into the car and go back home. She wasn't, and she did this video immediately after she got home and sat down. And she was like, when she got to the house, she was so flummoxed by this. She was like, what just happened? When she got to the house, that lady had just written her an Instagram message apologizing because she realized that lady had 28,000 followers and she had 350 something thousand.
Oh.
And so
wait, so the other one,
the
one who was asking to collaborate had
350 something thousand followers.
Wow.
Across her, I saw her page. She has 340 something thousand on TikTok and 350 something thousand.
My God.
So when that lady went and checked the page of the cakes,
Yeah,
she found, and she was like, shit.
So
Okay,
she's now
yeah.
apologizing.
And I
That's
kid you
some
not, in the
bullshit.
social media space, it happens
It
a lot that you'll
happens?
find that people will grade you based on your number of followers.
Or also Yeah.
They do
I
that.
don't
and
want to say anything.
yeah, I've been in situations where there's why are you here? Like, why are you here? Yeah, and someone may not say it, but there's a vibe to it. Or there's a vibe to it. And I think also, maybe it's because when I go to, initially I used to go to events based on being Jason's plus one. Jason, who's my best friend. And Jason is very well known in the social media space. He's not only worked as an influencer, but he's also worked in the background with different organizations, right? And agencies. So he'd have a plus one. He's like, best friend, do you want to come? And me, it doesn't matter what room you put me in or leave me in. Me, I'll make conversation. I can be here and I've just met you guys and I'm like, so like, what do you do? Hey, you look nice. So I like talking to people, so I can make conversation about really anything. And I'd realize that there are times that people would be like, but like, yeah, like, who are you? And I'd be like, well, okay. Well, maybe let me go make myself busy. And I'm not.
But what if somebody is genuinely asking, who are you and what are you doing
But
here?
I'm sure you
they're
can
not
tell the
asking it.
undertones.
That's the thing is, no one is asking me like, who are
Yeah.
you? You see, if you ask me, I'd be like, hi, yeah, by the way, my name is Dushy. This is what I do. It's not you're asking me. It's a look.
And you can always tell the
It's like you're trying to
essence
figure me out.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm like, so you just ask me. I'd be like, hi, my name is Dushy. What are your names? Okay. Yeah. And no, there are also people who are introverted. And I know I'm an extrovert. So I also know how to respect people's space. It's like, I won't come and I'll start sitting next to you and touching you. I just met you, okay? Like, I'm not a crazy person, right? But
We don't know that for sure.
Yeah, true. Because part of the cuckoo for cocoa puffs. But yeah, there's been spaces where I've been to and the people I've been around who have, to be honest to God, made me feel very unwanted.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I think when you were describing it, at the core of it, it's like the mean girl culture attitude. The mean girl at the center of her is lack of directness, because she doesn't want to be told you're mean. In fact, she usually cannot stand being told you're mean. She'll just be like, no, I'm just being myself. I just have boundaries. I just have standards.
Yeah.
And
She just say, I
I
didn't.
and they weaponize that.
Let me ask you guys, have you ever been accused of being a mean girl? Even if it was an intention, like you didn't realize.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I have actually.
What happened?
It was based on, so I can be very protective of friends. And when I'm introduced to someone new, my first instinct sometimes is, are you trying to get something from them because of who they are, or are you trying to be a genuine person? So I've come off as very mean to people. And I've had to have those tough conversations. For you were very awful when I first met you, and I'm like, I'm sorry. And without needing to like giving you too many excuses to try and over-explain. No, I was mean and I'm sorry. And if I can restitute this, I can. And if you would like me to leave you the fuck alone, I can also. Whatever will make you comfortable, I can. I'm blessed that the people who that has happened with have been able to allow me space to make friendships with them and show them who I really am. But yeah, I have been mean. So yeah, I don't think it's out of like, just because you think she's bubbly, she can't be. Someone tell you I was mean.
Have you, Edo?
Yeah.
Accused you of being a mean girl? Even if you were just like, what? How?
Not a mean girl, but like what she's saying, situational ways, like, I think that thing you did was not okay. Or I think you went too far with that. And especially my family, they're really good at calling me out. My mom will just be like, Shiko, that was not nice. That was mean. That was da-da-da-da-da. And, you sit there and you listen to the lecture, and we don't want to hear these things about ourselves because we usually tend to have, even if you're very self-aware, we have exaggerated ideas of who we are and what we're capable of. So it's hard to hear, but I like to hear it because, hey, let's get grounded.
Gigi? For me, I think no one has told me that I'm mean, but people have. I have had people who tell me, I thought you were a bitch before I met you or before we started to hang out. Yeah, but my experience was just with the bullying that I had a little bit in high school, and specific individuals who are actually just mean.
Just bullies.
Bullies. I don't know if there's some narcissism going on out there. It happened to me in our workplace. There's this one girl who specifically just didn't like me. I had just joined the organization. Bruh, do you know somebody who gives you sleepless nights? And she used to work in the same department. She was just horrible. And then one day I asked somebody else, like, do you see her being, is it just me?
Like, is it in your head?
Yeah. And this chick was like, no, babe, I don't know why this babe, like, she really treats you like shit. And in that we're only a department of like 4 girls. and she was like the most experienced. So now me coming in, you know, I'm kind of like, please help me, please help me. There she did sabotage me. Then there's one time she called a meeting with now our boss, like, you know me, I think you have so much potential. But like she just twisted everything, and I used to go. There's one time I actually cried in the office. And it was so fucked up. Like I remember I traveled to the UK for my graduation, and then I came back. I decided to buy her something because I was just trying
to make it
and now looking back, I'm like, what the fuck was I doing? I didn't even have money. You know, those guys were paying me so poorly. And I would say maybe like 5 years later, she left the company. I left the company. I just got a random. I used to tell my mom about her, you know. And mom was like, there are people who just don't like you. And I used to think, what did I do that made me not likable to her? Anyway, she sent me a long message apologizing from thin air. It had been years since I worked there. I've not seen her for maybe even 10 years, not maybe 7 years. And she just sent a message like, baby, I'm so sorry for ABCD. And the thing with that mean girl culture is, I feel like it's observed. Like other people can see it happening. I also have another incident where there's one person who I used to feel was just a mean person, but I didn't do anything about it. The issue is trying to call out these mean girls
That part.
because you don't want them to turn on you for calling them out. And what has happened to me now with age is, if I see that is your spirit, I'm okay to distance myself from you. Whereas before I'd be like, you know, if we're in a situation where we have to be together, I want you to like me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We do need to wrap up though.
But I wanted to ask you before we wrap up, you know, because we keep talking about mean girl culture, like it's specific to the female gender. Is that true? And if so, why? You know, because men can be mean and mean-spirited. But
actually, because mean girl comes. That's a very. It's a term. Okay, I
very
call
American.
It's very American. But when you think about it, boys are also rough.
But they're not mean. I don't think they're conniving.
They call it aggressive. Like when a man is being mean, it will be taken like, no, but he's just being very aggressive. In boardrooms I've been in, there are times that men will say something that is very mean. Like it's just plain out.
Maybe
this is just a mean statement. But it's like, no, but he's being assertive. He's being aggressive.
Maybe it's because for men, the measure of being a man is in how much you can take. Whereas for us, that's not really, like, you're coming across as mean if you're trying to put me through stuff. You're not coming across as you're trying to make me stronger and better. Whereas I feel like with guys, that's the
perception.
Yeah, because you know how they do that thing of what's it called, hazing? What is it?
Yeah,
it's just monolization.
It's monolization.
Yeah, but I feel like
so is it? I think I want us to figure out what are we saying here? Is this just a normal part of like human fabric, human existence, that across cultures there's the mean people and then there's the nicer people?
Because, for
there's
example,
a rite of passage.
if you think about it, a man can come and tell me, you've gained a few pounds. And a woman can come and say it, and maybe I'll say she's mean, but I wouldn't say.
Oh, me, I'll say I'll really call
rude.
a man out. I'll be
exactly.
That's rude. Don't.
But we would say it's rude. So that he was being mean. But when a lady says it, that was so mean of you too.
Mean? Yeah, what
I think it's just that we don't consider it when a man says it as a mean thing.
So we consider,
but when a woman says
we're
it,
saying mean means you mean you.
No, I think
men
we call them assholes. And then for our babe, she's a bitch or she's just mean.
Right. Yeah. And because we consider that women say it intentionally,
but I feel like
sometimes just he's saying a statement.
I think meanness points to your intentionality.
Right.
Because you can be rude, but you are just being honest.
Direct.
Direct. Yeah. But mean is like, no, you can, maybe like it's coming from a bad place. You don't mean well.
Yeah,
you know
that's what I get. Because when I say mean, there's a conniving element to it. Like there's
because you can even be saying something nice to someone, but you're like, no, that was mean.
Yeah.
So it's the intent. It's the, where is it coming from?
Like that babe for Nini Ultimatum. Why
I was going to say Kenya. Kenya was
me. And that thing of like, so you're just sleeping with a random man, and rather than let it go, it's like keep digging and digging, and for what point? Just to be mean.
It comes as a collective. It comes with the facial expression, that sneer. There's what is it, turning up of the nose. Is that the phrase? Yeah. It's a collective of things that make, I think, even something also mean. As you said, it's you don't mean well.
Yeah.
I get that.
I think the meanest girls are the most deep down insecure.
I agree with you.
and the power comes from just ignoring them, in the sense that I don't believe if you're exposed to somebody who's an asshole that you go and ask them, what did I do, what's going on,
Because
because you really
This is dicey because if it's in a professional setup, I mean, I'm not gonna come and ask you what did I do. I'll be like, stop being an asshole.
yeah,
You
but
know?
sometimes you don't have the confidence to do that because somebody is a superior to you.
Okay. Let me just say that I'm lucky that the company that I work with and the woman that I am today, especially in my professional life, that's not something that would worry me. I've called out many people who I've thought were being out of line, who are more senior than me in age and in rank. And I think maybe it's also because I saw it so much and I didn't do anything about it at my previous job. And there's a part of me that carries that feeling of I should have been my sister's keeper. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
All right, guys, we've come to the end of this episode.
Already?
I don't even feel like,
I
I just want to sit here for a bit.
I know. I just want to remind you guys, we're not here to provide solutions to some of these things. These are just issues that we bring up to kickstart a conversation. Maybe it can be something that you can look into if you yourself, you're a bit of a mean girl or mean person. Maybe there's some work to do there. And if you've made it this far into the episode, I just want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on this culture of mean girl? Do you think it has in any way has an association with the culture of monolization, bullying, seniority that, as Edith mentioned, is institutionalized? You can leave your comments in the comment section of this video. If you're listening to us on Spotify or wherever you find your podcast, there is a comment section. Please remember to like this episode on our YouTube channel. That thumbs up over there. Subscribe. It does help us grow. And as per usual, remember, it's related.
I promise.